Catherine, do you usually open, do you usually have your waiting room open, or do you just have people come in with a closed waiting room? Okay. Yep.
Here, now I can talk to you by Zoom. Can you turn off the recording? Okay. Right.
There we go.
Okay, so thank you, Garrett, for salvaging the meeting, which is the meeting of November 15th. And we have 3 members, that's a quorum: myself, Catherine Hilton, Garrett Simonson, and Arlene Reed. Noreen told me she wasn't going to be here, and I don't know what's the story with Wim.
Okay.
But that's enough. First order of business, can we approve the minutes from the last meeting, the meeting of November 1?
Yes. Second.
Okay, everybody in favor?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're meant to be discussing home burial tonight. I have gotten nowhere. I contacted, or I attempted to contact MAHB. I didn't get any kind of response at all. Not the first time that that's happened. I think we might not have been paid up in our dues, but I got an email from them asking for it, and so I put in for it. So it may be that they would answer emails once we get straight with them. But you would think that if they got an email and it was from somebody who hadn't paid their membership dues, they would send an email saying, send us your money and we'll answer your email. But no, I got no response at all.
I had recent contact with the gentleman that I can't remember his name. I couldn't remember his name last meeting, and now I'm blanking on
Hugo.
Yeah, Mike Hugo. I had recent contact with him, and he did call me.
So if how come he doesn't call me?
I don't know. Well, he had been at a meeting that I was at recently, and so I referenced seeing him at that meeting, so maybe that brought it up. So I can try to reach back out to him, because I was able to connect with DPH on some of the questions that we had. And so I talked with the Community Sanitation Division, which has some authority over siting of cemeteries. DEP also has some authority. And the takeaway was sort of twofold. One, DPH side of the house acknowledges that there's conflicting information between what's on their website and what's on DEP's website, and that the information that's on the DPH website around the approval process and the degree to which they have to become, which a private property owner would have to become an LLC in order to be a cemetery, that's been a subject of debate between DPH and their general counsel. And it's something that they've been pushing the general counsel on to try to come up with a less onerous requirement for a private property owner. And that's what DPH staff is leaning toward, is to not have this extra requirement to go through the process of becoming a cemetery corporation. That, you know, they acknowledge that you would still need to go through the process of updating the deed of the property to acknowledge that there's a burial ground on the site, but They think it's sort of they're in conflict with the general counsel and what the statute says around whether or not a private property owner has to become an LLC.
Wow.
So where does that leave us?
So what she said is that she was actually glad that we called, that as a Board of Health, that we were bringing the question to them, because it allows her to then go to the general counsel and say, it's not just DPH that is pushing these questions. These are also questions that are coming up locally. And she said that she's starting to, maybe not the types of questions that we're asking, but she's started to hear from other local communities around this topic. So she said that she was going to use this as an opportunity to push DPH general counsel.
Okay.
Which sort of speaks to the question around, the degree to which we need to demonstrate that we're doing our due diligence to understand legal questions before we go to town council with them, because there are certain things that, so I asked the question about, so what your website says is that the Board of Health has to give written permission to the private property owner, and the town also has to give give approval. Is that approval in the form of the select board or town meeting? And she said that DPH general counsel would likely say, ask your own legal counsel.
Right, which we're not supposed to do right now.
Right. So there are some questions that we probably will still have to, I don't think we can locally address this question about cemetery corporation and an LLC for a private property to have a home burial site.
Right.
That's going to have to be something that comes out of this debate that's occurring within DPH, DEP, and legal counsel or general counsel. But there's probably some things that we're going to have to answer legally, locally, or, with counsel locally about, is it Board of Health and Select Board? Is it Board of Health and town meeting to approve a burial ground?
So it sounds like we're stalled until DPH gets sorted out.
Yeah, and she was really great. The woman I spoke with in community sanitation, she said, give me a little time to have the conversations, but reach back out to push me along if you feel like you need an answer sooner.
And do we still have a homeowner who is waiting in the wings or pressing us for a response?
We're not, she's out there, but she's not pressing us for a response. She's actually been pretty desultory in her communications with us anyway.
So her
already
need's not urgent time-wise. There's not a
no, this is for herself. So
okay.
So it's not like she's got a ailing family member. It's for her.
So
and I don't know anything. Go ahead.
Maybe what I can do is I'll write up in an email that I'll send to the Board of Health email a summary of what I said tonight about the outreach to DPH.
That'd be great.
So that we can at least send that information along, because without answering the question about the siting of a home burial ground first, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to pursue whether or not it's appropriate for green burial based on the DEP recommendations can occur there. If in fact that private property owner is going to have to go through the process of becoming a corporation, a cemetery corporation.
Right. Which if that's going to be a requirement,
right? Which she may not want to do.
If that's going to be a requirement, that seems pretty onerous, really.
Yeah, between that and the just the nature of the fact that a burial is considered by many people to be an encumbrance on the property, I would imagine it would be a deterrent to a lot of people between the two of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. So yeah, we can send this along to her so that she'll know where things are, and also that we just can't move ahead with this,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Garrett. That
Yes,
was
thank
really,
you.
really great. I just have a few things to tell you. I heard from actually Conservation Commission. They went on a site visit to a place where there is an extremely high mounded system. It's in topography where there's these sloping hills. So this big mounded system is kind of nestled in there, and it's coming up on 30 years old, and it's getting eroded. And I don't really know what's supposed to happen next. I went there with Claudia, and not only it was eroded, there was like a little hole in it. It looks like an animal burrow to me, which suggests that it's well away from the septic part, because what animal would burrow into that? So at Claudia's suggestion, I wrote to the homeowner suggesting that a septic system inspection would be in order. And also maybe they could get some advice on checking the erosion before it gets to be a problem. But this is something I haven't thought about before, and we probably need to know a little bit more about, if we're going to have these mounded systems, and some of them are really tall. And this one, like, I got a picture of a photo from Miriam, and it showed a car parked next to it, and it's like at least twice as high as that car. But if erosion is going to be a problem, we should probably know more about what we're supposed to do. I don't think that most of them are really subject to erosion, because they're not so high and so steep.
As long as they have vegetation stabilizing them, I would not think that they'd be so prone.
Right. Well, this one, I mean, there was grass growing on it, but it was getting a little bit sparse, and there were some erosion marks where clearly the recent big rains had kind of cut into it. And then there was this burrow, which I don't know if that has anything to do with what's going on there or not, but that's something that might be kind of on the horizon for us to think about, because some of these mounded systems, that one was built in the 90s. Right. So something for the future.
Does code or regulation say anything about the extent to which a system can be mounted in terms of height?
That's a good question. There are always those, 4 feet of naturally impervious soil. I don't really know. That's a good question. Then I'll see if I can find it out. Anyway, there's no action required for us. Just I wanted to kind of get it on our horizon. Another thing is about, I think did we talk about this last time? I think we did, that there's a person apparently staying out in the woods. And Kristen is trying to reach the person, and we're just having a hard time finding him. So no action has been taken on that. It's getting to be winter, and it would be better if that person wasn't out there. Plus, I mean, it's not appropriate from a sanitation point of view anyway. Did you hear about this? Apparently we've been charging fees illegally all this time, because we're only
I couldn't hear you.
charging fees illegally. Apparently there's some statute that towns are supposed to adopt, and apparently our town neglected to adopt it. And so we can't levy any fees until the town adopts it. Now, we're meant to be having a special town meeting in January, right? And our two articles will be on the warrant, and I'm hoping that that will be on the warrant too. Somebody just found this out kind of by accident.
And this
it's not
would
just
go
Board of-
back how far retroactively that we've had
I
no
don't,
processing fees?
well, like forever, but I don't think we're gonna have to give back all the money.
And so not just Board of Health.
Everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's gonna be resolved, but I cannot imagine that we're gonna have to pay back all the fees that we've taken in.
Goodness.
One of those who knew things. Just one other thing I'll tell you, I went to the MAFCO meeting yesterday. It was a Zoom last minute thing. Didn't, got an email like an hour before it started. They failed to get it on the town, posted on the town website. They're off to a rocky start. So it was about this new vendor that's meant to be doing the emergency preparedness. And basically they just gave an overview of the kind of services that they were going to do and blah, blah, blah. And, it was all the same stuff that we were getting through FERCOG or however that went. The one thing that, actually I called Noreen to ask about this and she said she didn't know either. So I should have just spoken up, but I felt stupid. Apparently we're supposed to have something called a mass care plan. Does anybody know what a mass care plan is?
Well, so I would assume, well, so local public health isn't supposed to have a mass care plan. That's never been a requirement.
Oh, I see. So that'll be
Of
for
the-
the
of the
whole,
emer-
for whole
that's-
MAFCO.
Well, so maybe they're referencing emergency sheltering,
Mm,
which is largely an emergency management function.
mhm.
So
Well-
I'm not sure where they're coming from with that, except that the DPH deliverables associated with that grant are this year largely, instead of being focused on emergency dispensing sites, are focused on the public health roles in mass care. So that might be what they're referencing, is that they're going to help to define some of those roles for Franklin County.
What exactly does mass care mean, Karen?
I mean, so it could be anything from emergency sheltering to water and water distribution.
I see.
It could be like a reception center to receive people. The migrant sheltering that's occurring right now is a good example of.
I see.
So I'm not sure, and I had hoped to be able to attend that meeting with Noreen. Was Noreen there? I can't remember.
She was.
She had asked if I could go, but I had a conflict.
Mhm.
So I couldn't attend that one because I'm going to start to attend those meetings. So
Right. Yeah,
that's
go
what
ahead.
I'm referencing.
I talked with Noreen a little bit about the question of the principles of operation, MAFCO's principles of operation. And it looks like she might want to or be willing to stay on a little bit longer on the steering committee, just so that she can work on that, because they're kind of in midstream with that. And I think it's going to be taken up at a December meeting and possibly a January meeting also. So you might not have to jump right in to take over before that. I'm not sure. By the way, I asked Noreen if she was also envisioning getting off our board, and she said no.
Mhm.
So I was really really glad that she wasn't, that she apparently is planning to continue for a while.
Mhm.
So that's all I've got. Anybody else?
I have one other thing. So last meeting, we talked about public health nurse Sarah Fisk, and
Mhm.
hopefully trying to get some more information from her about what services she's providing here in town, what she's seeing. And so I did reach out to her after that meeting, asking if it would be possible to be brought into the reporting loop that she has with Greenfield Health Department related to, since she's on the grant that they hold. And she said that she didn't see that as being a problem, that there's already reporting of the work that she does in Leverett that's going to the Leverett Board of Health, but she wanted to funnel that request through to
Be Megan now, right?
Megan,
Yeah.
to make sure that and to have Megan provide us with that information, which
Oh, I see.
which I felt was appropriate, since that's her supervisory chain.
Mhm.
So she was going to check in with Megan. I haven't heard anything further on that, so I can reach out to Megan,
Yeah.
to see if they came to a conclusion.
Okay, and I can see in Maven, I can see activity on Sarah's part. For instance, there was a recent report of Lyme disease, which is, when that shows up in Maven, it's just an FYI. You don't have to do anything about it. And so I could see that she had acknowledged the case, but then hadn't done any, although you don't have to reach out to the person, there's a way to close the case, and that hadn't been done. And I'm happy if she doesn't have the time to do some of these things. I'm happy to continue with my functions in Maven, but I don't want to step on her toes. And so it just would be good to know, and I can communicate with her about those boundaries one-on-one, and just to make sure she's okay with. There's not a lot showing up in Maven for us, but is she okay with closing out the workflow, the things that are sitting there in the workflow or not?
Okay, well, if you'll
will.
work that out between the two of you, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything to add.
Nor I.
So I'll write up a summary of my conversation with DPH, send it to the Board of Health email, so that you can push that information to the resident who's inquiring about home burial.
Okay.
I'll follow up with Megan and Greenfield regarding, just getting some general information about the contact that Sarah's having with residents here.
Okay.
And I'll check in with her about Maven functions.
Okay.
So, okay.
Now, was there another person here?
So
Yes,
Frank,
Frank
yeah,
McGee.
yep.
Okay, well, let's find out what this person has to say.
One of the things that I was just curious about the burial. That's what I was listening for.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Do
we-
you have more questions that you want to
No,
ask?
I just want to hear about it. I've never heard about it before, and I saw it on the agenda. I thought I'd check it out to hear more about it. I don't have any.
Yeah. A person has inquired about the possibility of being buried on their own property, and so we're trying to look into what would be required. One of the requirements is, a complete soil analysis in the area, and just basically a site analysis. And then, as you heard, there are all kinds of
Yeah,
other
right.
requirements that there's not agreement on what they are.
Does
We
that
have
include the
go ahead.
ashes? Does it include ashes?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, excuse me. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
ashes can be buried just about anywhere. It's my understanding.
I can, if I can figure out how to do this, put up in messages or something, I can put up a link, Frank, to the DPH website that addresses this.
I'll
So
look
that
into it.
you can read
DPH.
more.
I can Google that DPH in the.
Yeah, it's
I
if
think
you
that
go-
function is not allowed in the.
oh, no wonder
So
I
you're not
can't.
gonna
Oh,
get-
that's right.
But Frank, if you Google MDPH home burial, it'll bring you to the link that gives great detail.
Yeah, more
and
detail
some-
than you want.
some conflicting detail.
Frank, were you asking about the ashes question or about the home burial question?
I was just the ashes came up just because I was thinking about. I wanted to hear about home burial because I thought it was a very interesting,
Mhm.
and so that's why I came to the meeting.
Mhm.
So
Okay, well, to be continued when we
Yeah.
get some more information.
and the ashes I think is a kind of a burial too. So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, no, the ashes don't have nearly the kind of problems. You can have your ashes, buried in your back garden if you want.
Okay.
As far as I know, I would double check it, but as far as I know, there are no restrictions on that.
This website that on
Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
DPH's website does address the appropriate
Yeah, I just found it,
disposition
so
of
yeah,
ashes. Yeah,
I'll read it. It's long.
yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are we ready to adjourn, you guys?
I will move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Duh.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you guys, and thanks Garrett for salvaging the meeting.
I'm gonna
Yes, really.
stop it so that we make sure it's